Hello there, welcome back to the Ogre, the old Git Reacts, Reviews and Oft-Times Reminisces. Sometimes when you're looking for new music, you dip into artists' repertoire and you listen to it, you're intrigued, and then for whatever reason you move on. I've sort of dipped into Vesh En's catalogue a few times now, but for whatever reason I've not given it the time to give it a proper listen, and so when the latest album dropped, I more or less forced myself to give it a proper go, and I'm glad I did because I quite like it. So let's have a listen, shall we? And you can see why. Where are we? Yes, here we go. So you've just heard the reason I like this track, probably the best on the album. It's because of that scaling sort of lead riff there. I presume it's a guitar doing it, but it reminds me of bagpipes, and as you probably know, I'm a sucker for the sound of bagpipes, particularly over raucous music. And but this is one of those artists that where the whole belies, I'm trying to say, where it doesn't matter too much about what individual instruments are doing, it's the whole that has the effect, and why should that matter? Because it's the whole that counts, isn't it? But some people delight in individual aspects of music, and you know, they like to be able to discern what the guitar's doing, what the drums are doing, in crystal clear fashion. I'm not one of those people. I like a mush, a murk. Reminds me of a fellow who tried to convince me many moons ago to buy a top-notch audio system. This is back in the days of vinyl. So we are going, well, yes, you've got vinyl now, but before CDs, let's put it in those terms. And he played music and demonstrated how such an expensive audio system you know enhanced the listening, and I had to agree. The music he was playing on his very expensive audio system was very much enhanced by the quality of his equipment, but it'd make fuck all difference to what I listen to. In fact, it'd probably ruin it. So the point I'm making is, yes, for those that delight in being able to discern every aspect of a song, this maybe isn't for you unless you've got really good ears. I haven't. I just, as I say, just like to be swept along by a barrage of murk and blackness, and that's happening here. So we're in a bit of a more ambient section here, and you know, much as I rue the fact we've gone into a slower section, I don't dislike it at all. And there's ordinarily that sort of drum beat would be one that turned me off, but there's such swagger to it that even though it's obfuscated by the mix to some degree, it doesn't put me off. And you know, you're supposed to, I suppose, take a track in its entirety to form your eventual opinion, and so, you know, it's churlish when you sort of pick out sections that aren't your favourite sort of music, but you know, danger of going off at a tangent here, but the point I'm making is those sort of things that normally I don't relish, I'm quite happy with in the context of a whole track, which is probably stating the obvious. But you know, we can't all, yes we can have it from a whole rush from start to finish, but sometimes the reward is found elsewhere from that, and this is a case in point. Harking back to what I've just said about preferring, you know, things to storm along from start to finish, that tends to be the case when I'm paying attention. So this album, I heard it a few times, and it will be going into my collection. Probably once I've done this, I will some coin across to this artiste and buy this. But the point I'm making is the times I tend to listen to this, a few times I've listened, has been sort of just sort of with headphones in the dark and just letting it wash over. And so this more sort of sedate, ambient style of black metal does work for me when I'm sort of wanting to drift away a little bit. And there's a couple of similar artists in spectrum, not necessarily style or composition, but this sort of part of the spectrum that I quite like. One of which, or neither of which, one I can't remember because the name is ridiculous, and virtually I couldn't pronounce it even with the in front of me. And the other one I can't remember either, other than to say it's from an Iranian collective. They both plough similar fields to this artist, and I quite enjoy just relaxing, if you will, to this as a background to my thoughts, maybe. So there you go. That track isn't anything like I remember it. The beginning is, the rest of it not. And that is a trouble, as I say, in, I won't say preparation of it. Preparation of it forms a part of these reviews. But listening to the album as a whole, it sort of just, the tracks sort of become one entity, and as a consequence, very often what I think I've heard when it comes to singling it out and listening to it properly isn't what I recall at all. Nonetheless, I'm not disappointed. The beginning was a hoot, and the atmosphere created by the latter three quarters of it was enjoyable. I don't want it to sound like I'm crestfallen at the fact it didn't. My recollection was, to put it into perspective, is that the beginning was repeated at the end to a degree, and it wasn't. So I am a little bit, a tiny bit disappointed that wasn't the case. But given the context in which I listened to this album, I'm not at all. Anyway, before I waffle any more bollocks, clicky bollocks, catch you next time. Cheerio.